Hi,
Hello.
good afternoon. We
All
got
right.
it right. Boy, what a boring day. Well, no, there was a few things. We did, uh,
Definitely, definitely did the job by warning everybody today not to overtrade. Even if there is a
right.
couple of pockets of opportunity today, these kind of days you can actually lose a lot of money when the market does nothing because you give too much emphasis to a little breakout, a little breakdown, and you end up buying highs, shorting lows, and
Yep.
stock goes nowhere, and you get your P&Ls in the toilet.
Yep, I agree. But I think we called some stuff out earlier, like Nike
Yep.
and a couple of the smoking stocks, Reynolds and Altria.
Visa as well followed through today. I know that we were all over that one between 10 and 11 o'clock today.
Right. Yep. I was actually in that one.
Let's do a quick recap. Just as
Okay.
a quick lowest trading volume in months. I couldn't even go back far enough to see the exact date, so I just put months. I kept going. Okay, less than 70, less than 70. Looked like the SPY did around 52 million today.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just really amazingly slow.
And I don't even know if you can contribute that to the holiday. I mean, it's not like teachers are day trading from their desk every day that they have the day off. I mean,
Right. I actually think that more likely it is the people holding their breath into earnings season.
I think you're exactly right. And you actually had called that last week. You said that we're going to start picking up next week, and today was, look, if you want to call it a break, a rest, a pause, whatever it was, they certainly took advantage of it. Everybody was on Prozac or something today. They were just there was literally not that much, but we can definitely get into what we might be looking at. This was actually the close from Friday coming into today. You can see there were pockets of opportunity. Facebook continues to confound us. A little bit of strength on Friday, a little bit of strength today. Apple was getting beat up in the news by Tesla and kind of trading to its own drummer right now. Amazon had to get over 540. We actually got above it today for a little bit. So you can see we actually had a nice consolidation today on Friday. I think we talked about it this morning. Would have liked to have seen it push one more day and then pull back and hold the 200, but now we're just kind of, I think holding it is even putting it lightly because there's really hardly any trading going on at all,
Right.
or at least the last 2 days anyway. So here's the morning call from this morning. SPY breakout last week was impressive, especially with the light volume pause. 205 area is the next target. But here's the main part, I think. I think the stock market needs another day or two to catch its breath, looking deeper into many charts or overbought or near resistance. So essentially what we're saying there is that the market moved very quickly in a very short period of time. So, just basic market dynamics needs to catch up a little bit. And also within that context, there were also a lot of stocks that have gone vertical, for lack of a better way of putting it, over the last 5 to 7 days, and now are either overbought or near resistance. And I guess to quantify what that means, Marion, is, we cover it over and over and over again when we're doing the game plan meeting in the morning. It's one thing to want to be long or short. It's another thing to say how much potential is in the trade in exchange for accepting that risk. So what we're essentially saying here, if it's overbought or near resistance, you probably could pick the correct side without any problem. But you have to really think twice about whether or not the trade has room to go. And the few that we had just mentioned that I guess we'll take a look at now, they did have room to go. So I had to be patient in letting a lot of other stuff alone and really doing a good job of sticking to some of the ones that only had room to go.
Right, correct. We actually had some nice discussions in the room in the later morning about how much room was left in a stock.
So just to recap a couple of my notes from this morning, Tesla was still a sell short, really having a hard time finding where the exact, I guess you would term, major support down there. Financials, really not much going on at all. They're probably waiting for earnings as well as if there's ever going to be something happen. But I kind of feel like right now the charts are still pointing down neutral, best case scenario. And gold and oil both got a lot of attention this morning. So here's where we ended the day. I don't know if I could put those pictures side by side, but they sure as heck look identical, don't they?
Yeah, they sure do.
So here's basically SPY trading on either side of the opening price, which is right here. And we know intraday, we use that as one of our main criteria for determining if longer term order flow momentum are in sync with today's price action. But this lower right-hand corner really is the big thing, 51 million and change. By the time all said and done and counted, that probably end up being like 53 million, which is a really, really light volume day. But I guess we got to point out for everybody is this here, Marion, consolidation above the breakout on really light volume. What does that tell you?
Tells you that we're going higher.
I feel the same way. And believe me, I am not a perma bull by any stretch of the imagination, but price action is clearly telling us we could have rolled over here. We didn't. We could have rolled over here at resistance. We didn't. We broke out and could have caught a lot of people on the wrong side, and now we're staying. It certainly appears like we're going to make a run up here at the 205 for the next move.
Would you also see on a day like today when there were no volume, you could have really manipulated this market lower, and if they couldn't or didn't.
Yeah, there's many days when stocks go up or down, and you can clearly see that it's not necessarily buying as much as a lack of short selling. And right now we have a lack of short selling and a lack of selling. Nobody's in a rush to hit the bid on anything for the last week and a half to 10 days. And it certainly doesn't look like anybody's ready to initiate new short sales to push the stocks lower. So
yeah, exactly.
It's really pretty clear if you're patient. It's really only if you're frustrated and forcing yourself to try and make money right now that you could probably get yourself in a lot of trouble. And you and I spent probably a decent amount of time, more than maybe some people might have wanted us to this morning, discussing how to manage risk on light volume days, and story after story about traders who really hurt themselves by over trading in this environment. It's extremely important that you understand that 9:30 to 4. It's not a horse race. It's not ding, 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 the bell rings and you have to do something, especially in this kind of environment. And you had actually used some pretty specific numbers this morning, which I wanted to address this afternoon. Where, you literally said, if I have 2 good days out of the week where the stuff really lines up, that's where I'll make my money. And then the other 3 days, you take what's available. And somebody with that much experience, I think that was a monumental thing to say to most people in the room with us, because most traders don't understand that. They think every single day you're coming in and I'm going to set a goal of, I'm going to make $500 per day. And that's going to help me get to, 6 figures per year. And look, it's great to have goals, but that's not the real world. The market's not busy every day.
Yeah. And you know what? I also think that sometimes people beat themselves up. Oh my gosh, I wanted to make $500 a day. On Monday and Tuesday, I made whatever, 500 and 1,000. And now today I haven't made a penny. And so I think they need to know the reality is you just have to be patient, because it will come to you, but only for those who are patient. And I want people to know that I think some people think that we all have, oh my gosh, you're a great trader, you must make money every day. Oh, no, I don't. I actually have some losing days.
Yep.
And they look at you like, oh my gosh, are you crazy? So I think it helps people who are beginner traders or struggling with trader to know the reality of trading.
Well, I think it's important too for us to talk about that quite a bit, Mary, because look, let's face it, and not to be calling anybody out or anything like that, but there are quite a few trading rooms where it seems like the moderators of the room never lose a dime, which is the big. I mean, if you look on Facebook groups, everybody's posting, "We all nailed it today. We all caught the bottom. We all got the top."
Right.
That's setting you up to fail if you think that's reality. It's not.
Yeah, it definitely isn't.
Look, we'll love to high five each other when the market's really, really good, but you don't want to throw money away just because the market's opened. And I often had traders come to me and say, "Well, I want to make a certain amount of money a day," and I'm like, "That's great. You can trade towards those goals." But what if your goal is 500 a day, and let's say you lose 250? Does that mean tomorrow you need to make 750? And now you're setting an unrealistic goal for what you normally can't do?
Right. And you're anxious because you lost the day before, and now your goal is higher today.
Exactly. Your real goal is to trade flawlessly what's available. You can't pull it out of the market what's not there. And if you try to do that, you really start to get sloppy. And that's, again, you buy highs that don't follow through. As a matter of fact, we said it this morning, the type of market that we're in right now, or specifically the kind of day that we're in right now, it's actually better to be trading the pullbacks because most of the breakouts are failing. So you trade a pullback from the high looking for a retest and just taking what's available. So this is actually one of the better trades that followed through today. We were stalking this resistance level all day and looking for it to get through there, with the ultimate resistance being just under 77. But the reason it was in the list is, look, we keep having really textbook perfect days bouncing higher. We got past that resistance. We kind of flagged right at that level, which, again, we talk about it over and over and over again. When a stock pushes up or pushes down into what is either a minor or major support level and flags there, that is really constructive price action. And you didn't exactly get a perfect entry here, but look, we also kind of joked around about that a little bit this morning too. 1, 2, 3, 4 10-minute candles, whether you want to call it a flag, a pennant, consolidation, whatever the heck you want to call it. It paused after a momentum move at resistance, which was a pretty good sign for it to have another move forward. So if you didn't find anything to do today, again, it's one of those days where you really had to be working the keyboards, really have to have a good solid trading plan and completely eliminate one side of the market and only look for longs or shorts. And one stock that fell, in our lap today because we were ready for it. And again, not everybody bought the bottom, not everybody bought the top. I'm sure some people didn't even get in it, even though we talked about it for 45 minutes. But there's money out there when the game plan is right.
Right. I think there were a couple of them today. UNH was also another nice one.
Yep. And again, what's interesting too about these, Marion, is a lot of these stocks aren't necessarily in perfect uptrends, but they are in really solid moves from the last 3 to 5 days. So I think it's good to learn how to drop down your scanning a little bit to at least take advantage of stuff that's going on in during this little so-called hot streak in the market. Because like this one definitely did. It came up in the scan based on 2% higher from Friday and a couple of other short-term criteria. But I think this one actually is probably one of the best examples of if you're only looking at longer-term moving averages like the 200, if you're only looking at major support and resistance levels, you're going to miss these kind of moves. And percentage-wise, an $8 move in a $25 stock in 5 days, that's a pretty big percentage move.
That's for sure.
So even if you don't get the first 2 days, which is completely fine and understandable. When we had this big day here, you're running scans for the most recent price action, you're clearing the most recent levels, and then you have 3 more solid days in that direction. So especially in this kind of tape, don't leave out shorter-term momentum because there's longer-term order flow, which takes a little bit longer time, but then you get the momentum, the day-to-day pushes where you get higher highs, higher lows, lower, and win is about as good of a two-sided market of that explanation as you could possibly be. Look at that. I mean,
yeah,
really basically 2.5, 3 weeks to the downside and a solid week and a half to the upside. You must have some sort of scan that uses either a minor, and actually, how often do you see that, an actual V in a moving average?
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree.
Almost never. Look at that. It's weird. So anyway, again, this is one of the stocks that we talked about this morning, definitely a little bit oversold. Pushing up into resistance levels and look, consolidating up there on lighter volume. That's what you want to see. But again, today, bidding into those ideas, not necessarily the best idea. So you can see we had some longs. Amazon keeps hanging out at that 539 level. Google L had to get past the most recent levels. I believe it was 580, if I'm not mistaken, to make a run at 594. PSX, very clear resistance up here. But again, 20-day breakouts, most recent price action, and then this last one is where a lot of those stocks came into the list. Above the 20, positive the last 5 days, and closed 2% higher on Friday. You can go to the website, check out the blog, and see some of those. Inside day list got a little bit bigger today. No shock there with the really light volume and consolidation on Friday. CRM looked pretty good coming into today. Had some selling. Win was due for a pullback. Maybe we'll take a quick look at Twitter, Marion, and give it a little bit of a call here, for lack of a better way of putting it. Profit taking today, you think?
Yep.
I mean, 24 to 31.5 in just over a week. I think that's pretty good price action. We had basically this sloppy head and shoulders bottom here, and this was kind of the neckline. So I think if this pulls back, hits the key moving averages here, and maybe consolidates around this 28 level, I guess we could probably draw that like that now. That would still be pretty constructive. We know it to the upside here. Twitter 36 is the level. So one down day pulling into what is support now, what was resistance. Not the worst thing in the world for the stock. What you would not want to see it do, though, is pull back into this range, and then the stock could kind of be back in the phantom zone where there's nothing to do with it. So what we're looking over the next couple of days, the stock open lower. Even if it does open lower and push it, we would expect for this 28 to hold, find some sort of support, maybe even get a key reversal type day there tomorrow. So we'll see. What did you have today that you like besides Visa that actually followed through?
Under Armour and Nike. I'm always stocking those two. Both
of them, again, at upper or near highs. And you can see the afternoon volume just dried up considerably, which is actually opposite of what's been going on lately. The afternoons have been the better trading.
Right, and that's why I walked away, because I said the volume, you could see it. It didn't even wait for lunch to come to start drying up. And by the time lunch came, it didn't look like the screen was even working because nothing was. So I actually, took the afternoon off again, only for a couple of reasons. Could we have gotten good trades? Yes. But I think it's tough to sit there and watch a tape not move. And I just didn't want to tempt myself.
Mhm.
And I do believe that once the earnings get underway, we will see our volume come back. We're going to have some more volatility. But I like these two. Nike up at new 52-week highs.
You had mentioned in the pre-market meeting today the financials with a lot of earnings this week. I actually don't have an opinion on the financials right now. I kind of feel like, if anything, they're all in a bearish tone. Let me pull this chart out just a little bit here, and with good reason. Looking at the leader here, Goldman Sachs. Look, failed test of the high here, a pretty established downtrend, went into a trading range, broke down, and now we're kind of back in that range. But look, if we have a move to the upside, it would be a surprise from the most recent price action. We'll take it day to day. But right now, most of these guys are either trendless or pointing down. And look, they're waiting on the Fed. They're waiting on earnings. They could be back in play in a big way, this week. In play doesn't necessarily mean they're all going to be buying opportunities.
Right.
They could be short selling opportunities. But either way, I don't feel like there's a blatantly obvious bias in here right now. So I think we got to let them tip their hand. Maybe not even trade them the day that. Well, actually, if earnings come out pre-market or post-market, I don't remember right now with most of them. But if they come out post-market, you should be able to trade them for the next 3 to 5 days after that with a lot of confidence if it's obvious. If we have one of those days that looks like an FOMC announcement where it trades hard in both directions, I'd kind of leave them alone again.
Yeah, I definitely agree. We also had Home Depot and Lowe's, that sector. We had a couple sectors that I think gave us some good trades in the morning. And that's why I think if you had a couple of good trades in the morning on a day like today, that's when you walk away, take your money, and say, I'll be back tomorrow.
I guess we could zoom out and take a look at the Starbucks trade that we called out this morning as
Oh,
well.
yeah, that's another good one.
Obviously this 59 has been resistance for a while. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Again, great illustration of a stock flagging at resistance, looking for it to break through. So now it's 3 days through there. But that's not really what I wanted to point out. We had actually called out this morning the stock opening higher, mildly higher, not a monster gap, and pulling back to the previous day's high. Let me zoom that out a little bit. Is a really sound technical trade. And this is actually 10-minute chart, so maybe we could zoom it out a little bit on the 5 and see a little bit more clearly. It actually did trade down there. So it actually opened up here, traded down, perfectly held the previous day's high, maybe within a nickel or so, and then found a bid. So, basically 60.10 to 60.85, it's a slow grinding stock, but
Yeah.
it's not so much the point. We actually mentioned that this morning as well, Marion. For a trader to really start to learn to feel like they belong, you have to be concentrating on creating and identifying quality ideas. And it doesn't matter if the stock moves 85 cents in 90 minutes or if it moves like Amazon and moves, $5 in 90 minutes. You should be first concerned about identifying quality ideas, and then you can pick and choose what kind of volatility and liquidity you want. But your first priority as a trader, find great ideas, and slow or fast. This was a great idea. New
Yeah.
52-week highs, pulled back and held the previous day's high. Sorry, I cut you off there.
Oh, no, I'm good. I'm just listening to you. No, I totally agree. It was a great trade. I definitely didn't get that one today. But
As far as on the short side, the list on the short side is also getting smaller. Nothing really plowing in there where like, holy mackerel, I definitely want to be short. We did have the agricultural stocks this morning that there was a couple of pretty decent sell shorts out of the gate, but you had to be really, really quick.
yeah,
I think Potash, if I'm not mistaken, had one of the better ones that was actually tradable. We actually opened above the previous day's high, above the previous day's close, and you actually did get a pretty decent amount of pushes. But again, not the huge ATR that Potash used to be when it was $100, but still, tough day to trade. You get a slow grinding move that really doesn't pull that much against you. You know what? You pull $300 to $500 out of the market on a day when there's really not that much going on. That's actually a pretty good day.
yep, exactly.
I think that's all I have for today. MNK was my short sale of the day. Actually, Gave us a pretty decent move right out of the gate. You can see why it was in the list here. It was actually pretty clean bear flag. Pushed down right away, but then we had two inside candles on the 5-minute chart, so you had plenty of time to get in. 66.50, pushing down to basically 64.70, so about $1.80 there. Pretty decent push right out of the gate. So again, there was some money to be made, but look, we don't want to oversimplify it, but you definitely had to be patient, you had to be picky, and you had to eliminate one side of the market today.
Yeah, Tesla's also had still showed some weakness.
Having a really hard time figuring out where the next level is in this one, which is kind of scary that you can't really.
And that's why I think it's definitely just a day trade now. Not only that, but I think your risk reward gets tougher and tougher down here.
Yeah,
and
you had mentioned this morning you're hoping to see it consolidate for a couple of days to be comfortable on the next short sale. I think that's right.
Yeah, it's what I was looking for today. I didn't get in it short. I wanted it did not pan out there.
Reversal day in Apple today. That's in the news pretty much every day. I don't believe that Tesla's comments have anything to do with Apple right now. I think he's just trying to stay in the news right now and mask the fact that his SUV didn't sell.
Right.
That was only 2 weeks ago. It was the greatest thing since sliced bread, and now you don't hear anything about it. But I guess that's how technology is, right?
Exactly.
All right, I think that's it. I don't want to really try and do too much more in depth because not that much moved. The stuff that did move, we were actually in pretty good shape on. Again, don't want to make it sound like it was easier to make money today, but look, if you have a good game plan, go to the blog every day, and if you need some new ideas, we have plenty of stuff. Usually 2 or 3 blog posts every day where you can find some stuff and. Really good news that's got all the upgrades, downgrades, and everything you could possibly think of, as well as guidance and that kind of stuff, and also a huge list of, I want to say, at least 40 to 60 stocks to consider every day that are already filtered out for you. You just got to get in there and pick the ones that match your criteria. So I'd be a little surprised if we had another day as dried up as today was. We might start out a little slow in the morning, unless we get something that happens overnight or a good earnings catalyst in the morning, but two really, really quiet days. I would expect us to have a little bit of a trend day tomorrow. I'd be a little surprised if we didn't make a run at that 205 tomorrow, quite honestly.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm looking for a trend day tomorrow.
So 2 days of light volume, well, conserved up for tomorrow. Let's hope we all get a good night's sleep. The Mets win big tonight, and then we pick it up again tomorrow.
Yep.
Thank you, Marion. Have a great night.
Okay, thanks, Pete. Have a great evening, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.